Forever. Dog.
Welcome to the Podcast for Laundry, the only podcast meant to be listened to while you're doing your laundry. I am your host, Brett Davis, and I've got a very special guest. Dare I say he's America's sweetheart, Ted Alexandro.
Thank you, America.
Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be with you.
Thanks for being here. I know it's kind of a weird setup I've got here in this basement.
It's unusual.
Yeah. But and you know Janine?
I do know Janine. Yeah. We work together.
You ever come by her place?
No, I have not, and certainly not the basement.
No.
Yeah.
She's just floor up.
That's great.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll say hi after.
Mm-hmm. I often wonder if she listens in on the podcasts.
I'm gonna bet no, but it's possible.
Well, they're good podcasts. They're good podcasts, Janine. She loves it. So welcome to the show. I'm gonna start off the way I always start off. What's your turge?
My turge. I'm gonna guess that's slang for detergent.
Yeah, it's slang.
I like an organic seventh generation or something like that.
You know, we're getting more of a seventh generation. I'm doing an informal census of every comedian.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of seventh generation use.
Yeah. I think my wife has like a reaction to the other ones. So the no. What is it, like no scent, no nothing, just organic? That seems to doesn't kind of set off any problems with her skin or whatever.
Okay, I use Tide.
Tide.
I like the scent, and if there was a reaction, I feel like I've built up a tolerance.
Right.
Because I use it so much.
Yeah, sometimes the scent is worth like whatever other things you'll incur.
Okay. Yeah. I should also apologize. It's kind of a bunch of piles around. I've been sort of running, I guess it's like a laundry speakeasy in here.
Yeah.
So
how does that work?
Well, I was, living in this basement kind of informally, and I decided, you know what, let me go on Craigslist. I've got this free washer and dryer. Mm-hmm. I can take on business.
Yeah.
People can, discreetly drop off their stuff to me, and then I can start.
Why does there have to be discretion involved? That they're just dropping off their laundry?
Well, the landlord doesn't really know about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Luckily, he's, not a great landlord, so, his in and out doesn't even come through the basement.
Technically, he's not even your landlord, right? Because he's
literally not my landlord.
Right.
Unless you consider me technically a resident of this, but I'm not.
Right.
You know squatters' rights?
I don't. I'm guessing you probably do.
No, I don't. I'm just trying to figure out.
I know the term. I don't know what they are.
I might. Yeah. Maybe I'll reach out to a lawyer. So you're a comedian. I am a legendary comedian. Dare I say?
I don't know about that. No, it's a stretch. But thank you.
How many Comedy Central specials you got?
I have 2 half-hour Comedy Central specials.
That's legend status to me.
Well, thanks.
As far as the guests we've had on, at least.
Yeah.
Some of these people are like real shitty open micers.
Yeah. Well, I was one of those ones too.
Yeah, but you've surpassed.
Yes.
You've risen up.
I've risen up. 25 years in the business. So yeah, I've ascended above open mic status. Although I still stop in.
25 years, that's when you start getting like achievement awards.
It's weird because I feel like that's when you start kind of figuring things out. Like, I'm not that's an overstatement, but 25 years, you have obviously a sense of yourself. You have a perspective. You have some life experience, and you've done enough in comedy that things don't phase you as much. So, so it's a good, I feel like I'm in a good spot.
What's an example of a thing that would phase you?
Well, even just going out to LA last week, in the past, like I remember my first trip out to LA, like when I first signed with a manager. I think I had done what was it, the Montreal Comedy Festival. So all these like little benchmarks of like, I guess I'm really in the business now. So yeah, went out to LA to do some pitch meetings for whatever it was. I don't know, to try to convince them that I was worthy of something. And yeah, like that was so overwhelming because I was just a kid from Queens who hadn't really traveled much, even in the States, other than like, you know, like little family vacations and starting out in comedy, like, you know, going to these cities for the first time. It's like you feel like you're acting as if you're a well-traveled adult.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in my mid-20s or whatever. But anyway, to juxtapose that with now 25 years in the business, obviously having made not dozens, but many trips out to LA and all over the world. And now as a married man too, this was the first kind of business trip with my wife. We just had our first anniversary. So going out there now is a totally different thing. Like I'm an adult, I'm a married man, I have 25 years in the business. So it's nice to see progress personally and professionally.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And the thing about LA is that it kind of makes you crazy if you
Yeah.
stick around for too long.
Yeah. I lived out there for a couple of like pilot seasons, like 3 or 4 months at a time. Never like changed my address to out there, but yeah, you know, again, I don't like the stereotypical like New Yorker hating on LA thing, but I definitely, you know, New York's home. So the LA thing is, a lot of it is foreign to me, just in terms of the rhythm of life. Now, granted, you know, if I had a steady gig out there, that would obviously impact how I looked at it. But I like the East Coast.
So you said you're from Queens?
Yeah, Belrose, Queens.
Let's paint a picture. You're a kid.
Okay.
What's your first experience with laundry?
Wow. You know, I'm from a family of 7. There's 5 kids. I'm the second oldest.
We're talking big loads here.
Big loads, yeah. So down in the basement, we had our washer dryer, and I can't say for sure how early on, but my mom was pretty insistent on us shouldering our share of chores, like household chores.
Same.
Yeah, so I was doing everything from laundry to, like, you know, cleaning toilets and showers, dusting blinds. So we were all like we had our chores. So to answer your question though, my earliest experience would probably be I don't know if I was like 10. Yeah, I think probably 10 was when we started kind of like doing our own laundry. So I would take down the big, you know, we had these huge bags, so I'd have to go to like 3 or 4 hampers, make the rounds and take them down. But there was like a zen-like, you know, it was kind of cathartic once you got into that rhythm, and also the machine humming and the heat. Yeah. You know, there was a lot going on.
This is a coming of age story here. You're really painting the picture.
Well, you did that. Those were the instructions. So, yeah. So it becomes a little bit of a sanctuary, and you're the only one down there, especially in a family of 7. You know.
Yes, honey. You are the right guest for this show.
Thank you. I've never told that story before, but given your response, maybe I should tell it more.
Yeah. Next time you're on late night or something. Maybe that's for the desk convo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to give that away.
Yeah. But damn.
That resonated with you? Was it the memory? You had similar memories?
I'm getting emotional. Similar memories. The basement was a bit of a sanctuary for me.
Right.
Mom screaming her head off at me because it wasn't working fast enough, and then of course the punishment. So,
what kind of punishment are you talking about?
Hot fork to the back.
Oh,
she'd put the fork on the old stove and then sort of brand me.
Wow, that's a dark turn.
Hey. It's
well, let me just say you didn't deserve that.
No, I did deserve it.
Oh, well,
because I wasn't working. I mean, that's the thing. Like, these kids today,
Yeah.
they're undisciplined.
Every family's different, I guess, but that really is that's excessive. That would be abusive. Is really what that amounts to. A hot for like any utensil to the back probably these days wouldn't really be, hot or otherwise.
Well, I maintain that tradition. If I'm not living up to my own potential,
you still do that to yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, now that's your own.
Do you want to check out my back?
I don't actually.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm going to take your word for it. And, maybe you could just be a little kinder to yourself. You don't have to adopt your mother's techniques.
I think I do, because I think I'll slip if I don't.
Well, that's your own journey, I guess.
How do you discipline yourself if you don't, say, do the laundry or?
I don't feel a need for self-discipline. If I feel as though I've let myself down or let someone else down, I communicate that, and then hope that as human beings, we can kind of work past it. But I don't feel the need to go into the fork drawer, to mete out justice to myself or anyone else.
Fair enough. I feel like we got a little heavy here.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you brought up corporal punishment, abuse.
I don't think it's corporal punishment.
Is that the term?
I may not know the definition of corporal punishment.
Yeah. No. Well, I don't know if that's hitting. Well, regardless, we're in the realm of punishment, excessive punishment.
Now, when I do it, I like it though.
Well, yeah. See, that's part of the problem. Yeah.
Well, okay. I thought you were a perfect guest for this, but
I'm here, so I am.
25 years in comedy.
Yeah.
You gotta have some laundry material.
Well, I'll tell you what. I have. Actually, I can do you one better. I used to do a show at a laundromat.
Damn.
Have you heard? There was a legendary, at the time, show that Danny Cohen and Jody Wasserman put on at a laundromat. I believe it was on 6th Avenue or 7th. I can't remember, like in the 20s. So you would do a comedy show while people were doing their laundry.
And is there an audience there for the comedy show?
No.
So this is just whomever is there.
Whomever is there and really would prefer that you not be performing.
Yeah.
They're really just doing their laundry. So some people would have a good kind of good natured about it that it was something a little different or odd, kind of quirky. New York. There's a comedy show at the laundromat.
What year is this?
This has got to be mid 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, mid to late 90s, I would say. So yeah, when you start, I was probably my first few years of comedy, friends with Danny and Jody, and they were always doing like interesting stuff like this. So it was like just another gig. But yeah, you felt like a nuisance. You felt like these people. Most people were avoiding eye contact with you. Yeah, there was nobody was there for the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you deal? I know I spent a lot of time in laundromats. Did you have any sort of crazies, or if you're doing a show for people that aren't there for a show,
right?
I feel like the heckling could be much more intense, or just the people ignoring you.
Yeah, it was more that.
Yeah.
It was heckling in a way. At least they're engaged. When they just totally ignore you, it takes it to a whole other level. It was good in terms of like working that comedic muscle of like, if a crowd is disinterested, they're still sitting there facing you. You can kind of go into your bag of tricks and try to figure out, how do I engage with these people? But if they're not even making eye contact and they're just performing like a mundane task, that they're just really there to get something done. Maybe they're listening to music. Maybe they're hoping to read a book or just check out or whatever. You're imposing on like their quiet time essentially. So,
Yeah.
So that's a whole other level. So yes, I mean, I'm not to say that sometimes there weren't people that you'd get a chuckle out of, or like they'd start watching the show a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, it was you were really trying to dig deep to get anyone to pay attention.
You know, I bet you look back on it and say, those were the best nights of my life, though.
In a certain sense, I'm nostalgic for it because it was the beginnings, you know. So yeah.
The best nights of your life.
Well, I don't know about that, but it was enjoyable.
Well, I mean, if you'd be into it, I know, like, you're probably running around the city doing, sets and trying to pack in as many as you can in a night. And I don't see why you and I can't restart this show.
Well,
I don't know. Is that laundromat still open?
I doubt it.
We could find another.
We could do that, but yeah,
This will be great.
I'm not really that interested in, I do have a pretty full plate.
Yeah, but you're like running around and stuff. We could, you could do multiple sets a night.
I do multiple sets a night, but
without running around.
Without running around, meaning what? If I were at a
laundromat? You just stay at the laundromat.
And just do multiple sets there?
Yeah.
Well, who's there?
It's the same sort of deal. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you're higher profile now, so people will come out to see you.
Right.
Especially if we get like an exclusivity thing. Or it's like you're not going to do the other clubs.
Well, part of why I look back and it's nostalgic is because I no longer have to do that. You know? So that's the fun of it.
But like, wouldn't it be fun to challenge yourself? And then I could do sets too.
Well, how about like it's the same scenario you described, except I'm not there. So you can challenge yourself. You're doing sets at a laundromat. Yeah. All the things, you're combining a lot of the things you really like.
And you'll come and do it regularly.
But no, the scenario I was describing is I'm not there.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that's another thing to consider.
Just earlier you said those were the best nights of your life.
You're quoting yourself actually when you say that. I said I was nostalgic for it in the sense that it was the beginnings, and that you do have a certain nostalgia for the way you started out.
But what's better than starting over?
Just continuing a good thing is better than starting over.
But like 25 years in, it's like, why don't I just start from scratch?
I mean,
find that hunger again.
I think there's value to like kind of taking inventory from time to time and saying, have I gotten lazy? Are there things that I could do to kind of spark the types of dynamics that you're talking about? But there's other ways of doing it than recreating gigs that you didn't enjoy.
Fair enough. How do you do it? Let's say.
I think the ways that I kind of spark up, like, usually it just comes down to work, like, so just taking out my notebook and making sure that for consecutively a number of days that I'm spending a couple hours a day. And usually I try to make it a minimum of 2, because I find like if I cut off after 1 or just kind of pick up the phone or whatever. So it's like 2 hours, no phone, no laptop, just a pen and notebook, and just kind of daydreaming. And if I do that for consecutive days, then I have pages and pages of thoughts down. Then I go back, read through those. Most of them are not worthy of, going up into the act, but there'll be a few that are, so so for me there has to be some volume to just what I'm writing down so that I can go back and kind of cull through it.
I personally like to write in the laundromat.
I can see that being a good place,
because there's activity, but nothing usually too distracting.
Right.
I call it the corridor of dreams, because it really inspires something in me, and you can use that too.
That's poetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, it depends. Some laundromats have like TVs going, or
that can be distracting.
Yeah,
but I'll just shut them off.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You just go up and nobody is bothered by that.
Like sometimes it's like there's a cartoon on, and there's some kids kind of watching it, and they'll get sad, but I'll just sort of kick them a little bit, and they'll scatter, and
Well, I guess if it works.
But it's the cacophony of cleanliness, I like to call it. It's sort of like a white noise machine.
Yes.
In fact, when I'm not in a laundromat, sometimes the silence is unbearable.
So you find the din of a laundromat is kind of like your baseline where you feel comfortable.
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah.
And then if I'm sort of walking late at night, it's like the silence almost sounds like screaming.
That's harsh. It's like, yeah, that's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
Well, would you say that is there a way that maybe you could recreate that as you walk around through life, that you don't have to be in a laundromat?
Well, I've sort of found a happy medium where now I'm just in this basement laundry room most of the time. There's a little hole that I can do my business in, and I don't know where that goes. But, I don't really need to leave.
Yeah.
I get, money from doing everyone else's laundry, and then I can, send out for a Grubhub to come and bring me some chicken fingers or something, and that's I'm kind of living the nice life.
Sounds like you got a pretty sweet setup right now.
Yeah, and I do miss running around, and but it's I don't hear that screaming anymore.
You miss now when you say you miss running around. There was a time that you ran around.
Oh yeah, I mean I'd go to different laundromats, do shows at night, and then go back to the laundromats.
Right. That sounds busy.
Decompress, yeah.
Yep.
Where do you like to go when you're not performing? Where are your Zen spaces?
My Zen spaces are. I'm a walker. I like to walk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because my wife does not. So like, I think of a walk as decompression time. Time to notice things that you ordinarily don't. If you're just walking with a purpose towards, getting to the subway or getting to where you're going or performing some sort of errand, you're not in that mode of like noticing,
Mm-hmm.
But if I just go for a walk, then I'm looking at faces, I'm noticing nature, a tree, a flower, whatever, So for me, I like that. And it is funny because my wife does not. So like I'll say, let's just go for a walk.
Does she have the screaming thing?
She might. I'll have to check with her.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned it, it's possible.
So again, 25 years of comedy. Is
Yeah.
this the 25th anniversary year?
This is the 25th anniversary year. Yeah.
This is the year where you can throw a party for it. Go full like SNL 25, black tie only. I've done it.
That's not a bad idea.
Because I'm a comedian too. At what point did you feel like you're not an imposter anymore?
Gosh. I guess it's hard to say specifically. There's little milestones that make you feel like less of an imposter. And in the beginning that can just be being asked back to do a show, or another comedian saying, "Hey, I've got this show on Tuesday night," or whatever. So those are like the early ones where you get some validation. I guess like the first one that felt like maybe a stamp of approval of like I've achieved something was when I got Conan. I got Conan about 5 years in, so that was like, I felt validated.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first like late night thing.
This is when Conan was in New York.
In New York.
So what was your day like? It's the big day.
That day, it was nerve-wracking. I remember like, waking up and like you're just conscious of it from the second you wake up, and your whole day is centered around that, and you have the outfit planned and all.
Did you do laundry that day?
I don't recall doing laundry that day. I doubt that I did. I probably had too much nervous energy for laundry.
What's the outfit?
I'm looking back. It was an error in my judgment. I wore kind of baggy jeans. Mind you, this is late 90s. Baggy jeans, a baggy sweater, a white T-shirt underneath, and black shiny shoes. I I cringe looking back now, and I had a full head of hair. It was a gray sweater with red stripes around the sleeve and around the collar, a V-neck collar. And it was baggy. Picture like a big, baggy, boxy.
This is, how old are you?
Gosh, I guess I'm just about coming up on 30, 29,
Yeah.
30.
That's still at least a 30-year-old comedian's idea of like a nice outfit.
That's exactly what it was. I thought I looked good, yeah. And I was so excited, even watching the set. That's another thing, is like you just see how hard you're trying. You see how nervous you were. You see how like badly you want it to go well. Which is endearing, of course. And, I look back and now I'm twice that age. So now I almost feel like I'm watching some.
You're 60?
I'm 50. So
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I look back and I'm like, wow, that kid had some good jokes, but he was green,
What'd you do after?
After Conan.
This records at like 4 or 5 p.m.
Yeah. I think I can't remember exactly. I think I went to dinner, but that does, if my mind can just take a leap. I remember one time after doing Letterman, some of my family came with me, my mom, dad, maybe a sibling or two. Yeah. And we went to dinner right after Letterman on like 8th Avenue to a restaurant. And my dentist and his wife happened to be at one of the tables.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, they came over and said, we were at Letterman. They said, we had just put in for tickets and, we were in the audience when you recorded. So they were really excited, and then they wound up sending over a bottle of champagne and stuff. So it was that's a very vivid memory. It just, when you asked about what you do after, I just remember running into my dentist and his wife and how sweet they were. And I still go to that dentist.
Wow.
Yeah, that was kind of a little...
I bet you have a closer bond with the dentist than most people do because of that night.
I would venture to say you're right.
So, again, 25 years. You don't have any laundry material you can recall? Because there's a lot of, observations you can make when you look around the laundromat. Let me tell you.
Yeah. It's weird, but I don't think I've ever done a joke about laundry.
You could write one now.
I could, yeah. I mean, is it offensive to you? Actually, well, this is your business model, so it's probably not.
Mm-hmm.
To say that I drop off my laundry now.
I
don't do it anymore.
I used to be very against drop off. I had a weird situation where I had a little bit of a mess in my pants.
Yeah.
And I did drop off once, and I got a weird look, and they're like, "We can't clean this," and it kind of ruined me for a long time.
But you understood where they were coming from.
No. Mm-mm. No.
That it didn't. There nothing in you registered like it.
This is their job.
Well, did you like do a pre-rinse at home?
Well, I later learned that I have a wiping issue. So I don't exactly know where the line is, to be honest. What's an appropriate amount of fecal matter you can have?
Well, it's fair to say that you crossed it though when you
definitely.
Yeah.
Because the look on her face was like, oh, she did like an adios mio, and like kind of like did the signs of the cross, and like
yeah,
I felt really embarrassed, and I threw a bit of a fit, and I started knocking over the carts and stuff, and then she was screaming, and like the other person who was working there, like they came out and like tried to push me out the door, and then I braced myself in the door, and I started kind of pushing, and then I broke free and then kept knocking things over, and there was a kid there, and I kicked the kid.
That seems like a recurring. This is the second time you've mentioned kicking a child, and so are there like? Would you say that you maybe have some anger issues or some unresolved like issues in terms of the way you express
No,
frustration or anger?
I don't think so.
As I said, it's the second time you've mentioned kicking a child.
I mean, kids can get kicked. I got kicked all the time as a kid.
Well,
That's how you learn.
That's how you learned, but
Uh-huh.
that's not generally. It's not acceptable.
Now I don't go into the laundromat and sit on the floor.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but do you not see an issue with a child, you or any other, being kicked, well, especially if you're doing the kicking?
I don't know if you understand how pissed off I was.
I do. That's not the problem here. I grasp that it was frustrating for you, that you had shit your pants,
I didn't shit my pants.
that there was residue.
I don't shit my pants.
There was residue of some sort, fecal matter on your clothing, and
Yeah.
they wouldn't.
I went to the bathroom and then I pulled my pants up and then,
Well, that's not far. You're in the realm of shitting your pants. Then you might you just wasted your time by sitting on the toilet is what you did.
well, the poop goes in the toilet.
Not all of it.
I think you're missing the point here. Is that I was so humiliated by this that I said I'm never doing drop off again. But then I thought, what if there is to borrow Planet Fitness's motto, a judgment free zone, where people you could bring in whatever, and
Yeah.
I charge 50 cents a pound, which is a better deal than you could get in the city.
Well, does that judgment-free zone apply to you as well? Because there's some judgment on your part if you're reacting the way you do. There's judgment involved on your part, right? Like if you're bracing yourself, kicking children on your way out, you're making judgments. So
But they were treating me so poorly. Like it's overreacting. This woman, this monster, behind the locked herself behind the little like glass partition.
Yeah.
And then like the other person was just trying to push me out, and I started barking like a dog because
It sounds like an ugly incident that perhaps could have been avoided.
it could have been avoided if they had just done my fucking laundry. So and I've heard so many drop off horror stories, like a lost sock.
Yeah, that is pretty bad. I mean, those things it's kind of the cost of doing business, right? It's if you're going to allow someone else to do your laundry, if the convenience, the trade-off there is that perhaps occasionally you might lose a sock.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't, for me, be cause for a tantrum.
Well,
Maybe you could mention it.
maybe you're a better wiper than I am, but the day you're not, look out.
I suspect I am.
Look out. That's all I'm saying. And now when people come by, I get a little buzz on my phone. I run up the stairs. I heard the door code changes, and I don't want to risk getting locked out with a load in there. So I just kind of hold the door open. I say thank you very much, and I take the stuff in. And there's all sorts of. I get some clients that are just bloody clothes.
Well, maybe that's why they specifically choose you to drop off. Maybe you have a niche market, like kind of crime scene.
No. I mean, people get blood on their clothes if you have like a butcher shop or something, right?
Yeah, but I think you would know if a butcher shop was dropping off there. Like you'd probably be able to identify, like, oh yeah, that looks like, right? You can kind of deduce a crime scene versus a butcher's.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of like waiters that maybe spill sauce because it's like sometimes like suits with like blood all over them and stuff. So
again, like, yeah, I mean, you it depends on, is it a number of suits that are coming?
Yeah,
or is it one suit?
it'll usually be one suit in like a plastic bag.
Yeah, and the blood is like splattered.
Yeah,
and it looks like it could be human blood.
I'm not a blood expert,
Right.
But do I judge? Do I make a fuss? No, I say thank you for your patronage.
Right. Well, that makes sense that your business is to just clean whatever comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to reverse your own logic, if someone were to drop off,
Yes,
a pair of pants or whatever that maybe had the same kind of shoddy, they weren't as ample in their wiping as you have demonstrated that you are.
Yeah.
So if it arrived with fecal matter, what would you do the laundry?
You know what they'd get? A smile and a thank you, and then I'd get to work. There's a little sink here, and I'd just start scrubbing until that thing would go for a load or 2 or 3, whatever it takes to get spotless.
You're not a hypocrite.
I'm not a hypocrite. I got bleach. I take care of things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think definitely I'm not a hypocrite of all the things I could be.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Mm-hmm. And I get really good tips sometimes. These guys, these are like these high rollers from like Little Italy and Chinatown and stuff, and they
yeah.
And it says something if people are coming from Chinatown, which has like some of the oldest laundromats in town,
right?
To me,
yeah.
No, word's getting out. Yeah.
Word of mouth must be good.
Mm-hmm.
That you do a thorough job.
Yeah.
On bloodstains.
Yeah. So I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Still comedy is the dream, but as a way to, make my money until that happens.
Of course, you need
this
a
is
side.
The best.
Yeah. I was a school teacher for 5 years when I started in comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't cleaning blood or fecal matter out of clothing, but I was, paying the bills by another means.
So it's the same,
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what do you want for the future now? You got it all. You got the specials.
Got the specials. Yeah.
Vegas? Is that the goal?
No. I play Vegas. I used to play. There was a club called the Riviera that Steve Sciarippa, who was on The Sopranos.
There's a guy actually that drops off that looks just like Steve Sciarippa.
Is that right? It might be. Yeah. It might be him.
I don't think it's Steve Sciarippa, but he's got that same like
lumbering,
sort of lumbering, and then it'll be like, like keep quiet about this, and then he'll like pat me on the back. Yeah.
Right. So his overall demeanor is like the character.
Yeah, like big pussy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, Steve Sciarippa ran this club for years in Vegas, and then got cast in The Sopranos. So I used to play that years ago. Now when I play Vegas, I open for Jim Gaffigan quite a bit. So if I go now, it's usually with Jim at like Caesar's Palace.
Okay.
But I don't like it. And when I used to play it at the Riviera, it was this interminably long week. You would get there Sunday and go to the following Sunday, and it was a total of I think it was around 20 shows, because you did 2 a night and then 3 a night certain, maybe the weekend, and awful crowds. Now that I'm working with Gaffigan, it's usually his fans, so it's like a good gig, and it's just 1 night or 2 nights sometimes. But those long weeks in Vegas, I'm glad. Those are another thing that I'm glad is way behind me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gaffigan, he's got a lot of kids. That's big loads of laundry.
He's got 5 kids, I'd imagine. Yeah, there's quite a bit of laundry going on.
He's kind of local, if you want to tell him to. I'll do his.
If I remember, yeah, I'll mention.
As long as a little brat stay out of my fucking way, I'll definitely clean and do a great job.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the pitch you want to go with, but.
Well, put it in your words. Yeah. But seriously, those fucking brats get in my way. I will not hesitate. I hope he's being a good father.
Kids have a tendency to, run around, if that's what you're implying. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have kids in your future? Recently married? 1 year anniversary? Congrats.
Thank you. No kids yet, but yeah, we would like to. So yeah, hopefully that's not too far away.
Yeah, just keep them out of my fucking way is what I said. How has the laundry dynamic changed?
That seems like an odd threat to make to a hypothetical child that doesn't exist yet.
I just don't like kids is the thing, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. You can have that philosophy. I don't know if articulating it about a child that's not even born yet is appropriate. You can say you can even say
I feel like you're making this weirder than it needs to be.
maybe I'm contributing on some level.
Yeah, I really kind of tossed that off. Just I'm being serious, but
throughout you've tossed out a number of times, like beyond a disdain, like a violent tendency towards children. So that's why I bring it up again.
It's weird that you're reading that from what I'm saying.
I'm not reading it. I'm reporting.
I've got more of like a children shouldn't be seen or heard, and like get out of my fucking way sort of thing with kids.
Well, those are two different things. Children should not be seen or heard, and get the fuck out of my way.
Well, if I'm seeing them and I'm hearing them, then I will get them out of my fucking way with my foot, maybe.
So you're revising that children should not be seen or heard.
I'm not.
'Cause that's the adage.
I'm not burning them with a hot fork.
That can be part of your adage too.
I mean, if they really had it coming, I might. But that's really if the parents aren't doing their job.
Well, that's why that adage would not catch on. It would not be an adage. That would just be you saying those things. A lot of people say children should be seen and not heard. Like over the years, that caught on.
Yeah.
But the things that you're articulating are they would not find a mainstream.
Well, you should know about this. I'm sure you hit those colleges. This PC shit. It's ruining us.
Yeah, people have varying opinions on what PC even means.
You can't kick a kid.
Yeah, that's not PC. That's just the law, I think.
Weird. So new marriage. How's your laundry life changed?
You gotta clean my bra.
Yeah, do the voice of your wife like that.
It's not. No, that's not how she sounds. That's not how she sounds.
No, you're a comedian. That's how every comic's wife talks.
I will give you that. Yeah. No, when I do an impression of my wife in my act, or if not even an impression, when I voice her in my act, I use my voice. So
I think it'd be funnier if you kind of did like a high pitched,
like an
nasally,
Edith Bunker from All
like
in the
an
Family.
Edith, yeah, like quivering voice,
yeah,
like one finger up, shaking.
Right. Yeah, that is tried and true comedy gold. But no, I as far as how our laundry has changed, not much, except there's just more of it. And like I said, I've been dropping off for probably like the last 5 years. Occasionally, when I do my own laundry now is when I'm on the road.
Okay.
If I'm doing an extended run on the road, like I did a tour with Jim last summer, where we were on the road for like close to a month. So yeah, then I'll just do the laundry in the hotel sometimes.
Yeah. That's a bonus though.
Yeah, I mean, again, I like the kind of solitude of the laundry room.
I call it the cacophony of cleanliness.
Yes,
Corridor of dreams.
Yeah, all of that.
Next time you're at gym, just if you guys are kind of loading the laundry, and just maybe take a moment and like kind of look around and say the corridor of dreams.
Well, we're not together. Jim and I aren't side by side doing laundry. Like I do my own. Like during the day,
why not.
During the day we don't really see each other often.
But I think that'd be a nice thing to do.
Well, if I see him, I'll mention.
Thing, yeah.
I'll be sure to bring up the corridor of dreams.
Yeah, and mention because he's got a big family. Like,
he does. Yes.
Mention I'm looking for clients.
Okay.
Here in the Lower East Side. It's not far from where he lives, I assume. I don't know.
Yeah, no, he's in New York, but I wouldn't, like, I'll mention it to him, but okay. I'd have to, in good conscience, I also have to make him aware of how you feel about children, So I'll do both of those things.
I don't mind kids.
No, you've made clear. I
think they should just keep their little mouth shut.
Right, and that's what I'll communicate to him, so he can make his decision if he wants to.
Okay, cool, yeah. And if you ever have kids and you want a decent drop off, you don't want any socks missing, want to get those bloodstains out, you bring them over to Brett's Laundrette Deluxe.
I'll keep that in mind. It's a bit of a trek from Queens, and there's other reasons that I would have misgivings.
Okay, well, you perform in this area a lot, so
that's true. I'll keep it in mind, as I said.
Yeah,
it's a good option.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's been a pleasure.
You got a new special.
I do. It's called Senior Class of Earth. So
check it out. And then check out the next one. Probably have some laundry material, I'm hoping.
Probably will. If I could just mention, it's available at atcspecials.com. ATC is All Things Comedy. That's Bill Burr and Al Madrigal have a company called All Things Comedy.
There's a sort of a laundry, like a washing machine distribution company called ATC too.
So you have no excuse not to remember.
Yeah, ATC.
atcspecials.com.
All right, thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Forever Dog.
This has been a Forever Dog production. Executive produced by Brett Boehm, Joe Cilio, and Alex Ramsey. For more original podcasts, please visit foreverdogpodcasts.com and subscribe to our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Keep up with the latest Forever Dog news by following us on Twitter and Instagram @ForeverDogTeam and liking our page on Facebook.